So we are going to do 2 problems off of today's worksheet as part of our opener. Then after that, I'm going to give you guys the remainder of the hour to work on the worksheet. This worksheet is going to be very similar to what your quiz is going to look like on Friday. So this is basically the same things that we've been doing this past week, except for this time we have some negative numbers that are thrown in there. So like that worksheet that we practiced yesterday, finding the M, finding the A when we're dealing with negative numbers, we're now going to do that, but we're going to use it and then factor. So our steps are going to be the same. So use the MA method with the area models to factor each of the following. So we're still going to first find what our M is. And in order to find what our M is, what do I have to do? First and third, I'm going to multiply them together. So I'm going to multiply together 8 and negative 15, which is what? Negative 120. And I'm going to put my MA underneath so I have just some room. Then my A is my...
Your A is the 14.
Correct, my second coefficient. So then I'm going to refer to my blue factor sheet, my cheat sheet. So everybody should have their blue factor sheet out. And I'm going to look at 120. You should have one in your folder. So you're going to look at 120. Which of those factors of 120 can you manipulate to get to 14? Okay. That's going to drive me crazy. Oh, I touched something on my keyboard.
You can do...
Oh, shoot. How do I get rid of this? Hold on.
You can do, that 20 and 6.
20 and 6. Good. So my M and A is going to be 20 and 6. Now, because my M is a negative, how many of my factors are going to be a negative?
1.
1. Now, my A is a positive. So because my A is a positive, which of those factors will be my negative number? Do you remember from yesterday?
It would be 6.
Yeah, your smaller one. So your smaller one will be negative. Because 20 plus negative 6 would be positive 14. So that's the new stuff. Now we're back to the old stuff, the stuff we know. So from here, we're going to take our numbers and we're going to plug them in for the area of each rectangle. So if I go to plug in my area for my top left rectangle, what's that area going to be?
You're going to do 6?
No, what's my top left?
20.
Right? 8. Yeah, I'm bouncing around here. Okay, top right.
I don't know. I thought you do the...
You do.
15.
No, for this area right here. This area has to be one of these two numbers, right? 20, or it could be negative 6. But I'm going to go ahead and put the 20 in there. What variable goes with 20?
A.
Okay. Bottom left is then going to be
Negative 6.
negative 6 what?
A.
And then bottom right will be
14.
20.
Oh, 15.
20.
Negative 15.
negative 15. Don't forget that negative. Okay, now I have the area in each rectangle. I now find the greatest common factor of my top row. So what's the largest number that 8 and 20 both share? So what's the greatest common factor of 8 and 20? 4. If you did not know that, how could you find that?
You would do 8 and then put 20 and then...
You'd use your factor trees, right? Okay, so it's going to be 4 what here though?
4A.
4A. So that becomes my height. So now for my top row, I know my height, I know my total area, but I do not know my width. So I'm going to go ahead and put my height in for each rectangle on my top row to help me find my width. So now I'm ready to find the width of my first rectangle. So I'm going to think to myself, 4 times what equals 8?
4. No.
2.
2. 4 plus 4. Okay, now I have 1A in my height, but I have A squared in my total area. So how many more A's do I need? I need 1 more. So the width of this rectangle is what? 2A. So I'm going to make sure I label it accordingly. Then I go to my next rectangle. I have my height, 4a, times something, my width, to get 20a. What am I going to multiply that 4a? 5.
No, just 5.
Just 5. So that becomes my width. Now, with finding these two widths, what am I going to do with these numbers now? What do I do with the widths that I just found?
Bring them down.
I bring them down. And remember, our width goes second. So I bring down my 2a for my first rectangle. And what do I bring down for the width of my second rectangle on the bottom here? 5. So what am I trying to find with my bottom row of rectangles? What information am I trying to find in my bottom row? I know my width. I know my total area. What don't I know? Your height. So what can I multiply by 2a to get negative 3? If I plug in negative 3 and multiply it by 5, will I get negative 15?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the height of this rectangle is negative 3. And the very last thing we now have to do is write out our final answer. So we have the total area of the entire area model. So area equals height times width. So what's my height?
4a plus, take away.
In parentheses and box. Oh, come. There we go. Keep going. Yes. Doceri and I have not been friends this week. Doceri, it's the program. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2 now. So number 2, we're going to follow the exact same steps. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is find my m. So what's my m going to be?
60.
Almost.
Negative.
Negative 60. I know, it's that new negative thing we got to worry about now. What's my a going to be? Negative 7. So on your factor sheet, find 60. Then find the numbers that you can manipulate to get 7. This one's kind of a tricky one, if I remember correctly from first hour. Say again? Yep. So 5, I know, right? 5 and 12. So my m is negative, so how many of my factors are going to be negative? 1. Now, my a is negative. So which of my factors are going to be negative? 12, the bigger one. So 5 plus negative 12 will equal negative 7.
Wait, well, 60 was right there, a. The 12 will still be negative.
Yeah, because a positive times a negative is a negative. Now, if the 60 was a positive, then we'd have different factors. Okay, so now let's fill in each area of the rectangle. And again, I'm going to bounce around. So what is the area of this rectangle?
6b squared.
Nope.
10.
What type of 10 is that?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. What about this one?
We don't. Negative 12.
Okay, sure. We could use negative 12, or we could put what else there?
Negative 7.
No?
No,
5.
5.
Okay, what about this one?
5.
Okay, and top left.
6b squared.
Now what variable goes with my...
B. B.
I thought she said.
All right. From here, what's the next step I need to do?
Find the greatest common factor
For...
for the top two numbers.
Okay, what's the greatest common factor going to be for 6 and 12?
3 and 2.
6.
Oh,
3 and 2, which you multiply them together, you'll get 6. Yeah. So 6 what?
6. B.
Yep. Now remember, if you don't know the greatest common factor, do your factor tree. That's why we taught you that in the beginning. So this is my height. So I'm going to go ahead and put my height in each rectangle in order to find the... What?
height.
I already know the height. Width. Okay? So 6b times what will get me to 6b squared? 6b times what will get me to 6b squared? You're close. You're off just a little bit. Say again?
B.
Yeah, just b. So I'm going to bring the b up. That's my width. Okay, my second one, 6b times what equals negative 12b? So 6 times what equals negative 12? Negative 2. So that's the width. What do I do with the width here? The two widths that I just found? Say what? Bring them on down. And now I'm going to find the height. Good. Okay. What's the height of my first rectangle? 5. If I plug in 5 for my second rectangle, does 5 times negative 2 equal negative 10?
Yes.
Yep. So then I know my height is right.
Put it at the top.
And then my final answer will be
6b plus 5 times b negative 2.
just b minus 2 or b negative 2. Either, yeah, that's okay to say either way. That's it.